The Cellcast is recorded in front of a live streaming audience.
Hello and welcome to another episode of The Cellcast. Joining me today is a man who's just looking for sanctuary! Sanctuary!
Now,
Welcome, Jacob.
well, just let you know, be like, you can't cry sanctuary when you're not in the church.
But technically, most quote-unquote churches, their auditoriums are not called sanctuaries anymore.
That is true.
They're called like worship centers and
very true.
other super fancy names because they don't want to sound old-fashioned.
Very true.
But anyway,
Yeah. Why, thank you. Let me use our co-host, a man who, for some strange and bizarre reason, continues to ring those freaking bells all freaking night, and somebody can't get any sleep. Welcome, Drew.
remember how when we tried to do this yesterday, I said I wish I had bells?
Yes.
Guess what I didn't do?
You
Find a bell.
You don't have to do that.
I don't have any bells.
Ding.
I didn't even go to Taco Bell.
Oh, wow.
But anyway, yeah, if you hadn't caught from what I just said, this is our second recording of this episode, and y'all will not hear the other version unless you know where to look in one particular spot.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is what happens. This is what happens when you don't double check your settings.
Yes.
So this is our second time we're reviewing The Hunchback of Notre Dame. And we can't claim this is a rewind because the first episode never came out.
Yeah, exactly.
So yeah.
Mm-hmm.
You want to go ahead and jump into the spoiler-free section?
Sure.
Certified fresh and spoiler-free.
So this is my second viewing.
Okay.
The first time I watched this film, well, I didn't watch it back in the 90s when it came out for two reasons.
Yeah.
One, I lived a half an hour to 45 minutes away from a movie theater.
Fair enough.
And two, there was a boycott on at the time.
Yes, I heard about this.
And honestly, I'm sure there was a good reason, but this was not the movie to boycott because this is actually a pretty decent religious film.
Indeed.
Which is odd coming from Disney, but yeah.
Come on, SBC. Come on.
Anywho.
Yeah.
So I didn't watch this film until like 5 years ago, I think.
Mm-hmm.
I'd have to actually go and look and see when Underrated, who later became Franchise Fatigue, who is on our Pop Americana who was on our Pop Americana network before they finished. See when they actually recorded Hunchback, because that was the only reason I originally went back and watched this, because they talked about it. I thought, I've never seen that film. I always meant to.
Yeah.
Let me see if I can find reasons they're wrong on why this film. There's no way this film was that good.
Oh, okay. Fair.
And at the time, I think I did come up with a lot of complaints, but a lot of them were because I was looking to hate it.
Yeah.
And you know what happens when you watch something wanting to hate it.
It skews your
You
view.
find a lot of things to hate, which you don't need to hate.
Yeah.
So this viewing, I did try to go in with a much cleaner, clearer head.
Mm-hmm.
Tried to take it as objectively as I could.
Yeah.
As objectively as we ever, any time we do any of these, because we're not very objective.
Mm-hmm.
But I actually enjoyed it a lot better this time. I'm not I still have to wonder why Disney made this, because this is definitely not a movie for kids. They were definitely aiming at more of a maybe preteen to teenage audience.
Yeah, that's what it seems like in this film.
Because that's the other thing is I would have been, this was 95, 96? 96. I would have been 10 years old.
8?
96?
Yeah.
That would have been 10.
Okay, so yeah, I would have been 12.
Yeah, I would have been 10 years old when this came out.
Right.
It's the other thing it was the other ages.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I would have been 10 when this came out, and I had no interest when it came out either. So there's a third reason I didn't go see this film. And this was the first Disney film I didn't see in theaters.
Mm-hmm.
I take that back. I didn't see a movie in theaters until Meet the Robinsons of all films.
Yeah.
This was the last one I didn't see when it was still relatively new on home video. This is the first one I didn't rent.
Oh, okay.
From Movie Palace. Or was it Movie House? I think it was Movie House at the time. We didn't have a Blockbuster.
Yeah.
So, yeah, that was I didn't watch Disney again until I was kind of forced to watch it at a drama club thing, and they were showing off, oh, hey, we're gonna watch Emperor's New Groove. Emperor's New Groove, what's that? Oh, it's a Disney film. Oh, I haven't watched Disney in years. And it's like, oh, you'll enjoy this. There's no singing. But I like singing. I don't know. You know, all the other Disney Disney films, they just break out in the song for no apparent reason. Yeah, it's a musical. It's like, no. That's not what this is. And we're not talking about Emperor's New Groove. I don't know why I'm continuing with this, other than I think it's a funny story.
Yeah.
And that's what's weird is I'll get into this later. This really isn't a musical in this movie in particular. It's an opera in a way. But we'll get to that. We'll get to that.
Agreed.
So yeah, if you're looking for it, and maybe the little kids maybe not be interested in watching this, but you know, preteens and older should enjoy this.
Yeah. Older kids.
What are your spoiler-free thoughts?
My spoiler-free thoughts on this film. So I was in the same boat as Drew. Be like, when it came around in '96, you know, there was this boycott, and my family would go periodically to church, and it's like, yeah, that's like I kept being told, be like, yeah, don't go watch Hunchback. It's a terrible film, and so I didn't. I just avoided it, and so I think through Disney Movie Club, the subscription where you can order movies, or they'll send you monthly orders, and just happened to be like they sent me the 2-pack on Blu-ray, and I was like, you know what? I've never watched this film, so why not? I give it a shot, and I wound up really enjoying this film. But I love the themes, I love the story, you love the characters, and I was just kind of blown away. I was like, wow, this is a very underrated Disney movie that is very well done. And so, yeah, I thoroughly enjoyed this film. Like, yeah, it's got little, like, minor issues with it, but overall, this is a fantastic film. Fantastic.
Indeed. So that's pretty much our spoiler-free thoughts. Why don't we go ahead and jump into the full spoiler-filled section? The following is a spoiler-filled review for the movie Disney's The Hunchback of Notre Dame. Listener discretion is advised. The Hunchback of Notre Dame was directed by Gary Truesdale and Kirk Wise. It was, well, this being a Disney Renaissance film, there's a ton of writers.
Oh, yeah, just a few.
So let's see how many of these I can get in one breath, shall we?
Yeah, do it.
Tab Murphy, Irene Metschi, Bob Zudiker, Noni White, Jonathan Roberts, Kevin Karki, Gaten Brizzy, Paul Brizzy, Ed Gomer, Brenda Chapman, Jeff Snow, Jim Capabianco, Dennis Rich, Bernie Mattinson, John Stanford, Kelly Whiteman, Jamie Fuji, I already broke it. Guy Fui Badeau, Floyd Norman, Francis Gibbous, Kirk Hansen, Christine Blum, Susie Nichols, and Will Finn.
I'm exhausted just listening to it.
Yeah, because that's the weird thing about Disney from this era is they didn't differentiate what writers did what. They just gave all the writers equal credit, whether they were just the script writers or they were just dialogue massagers.
Oh, I gotcha.
Because that's what happens a lot of times with these.
Right.
But anyway, this is, of course, based on the novel Notre Dame de Paris by Victor Hugo. Getting into the cast, we've got Tony Hulse playing Quasimodo, and he played Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart in Amadeus. Demi Moore played Esmeralda, and in Ghost, she played Molly Jensen. We got Tony Jay playing Judge Claude Frollo. We probably both know him from Shere Khan in Tailspin.
Yes.
But I know him best as the computer virus known as Megabyte in Reboot.
Yeah. Be like, if you guys have never seen Reboot, it's
that's
an old show back in the 94, 95 years. So it was like one of the first CG
TV shows.
Yeah. I mean, like, it was cheesy and corny as all out. But when you get to certain seasons, be like, it's good. And then it's like, oh my gosh, they're playing a game with every single episode.
There is a very good reason Hasbro went to that team to make Beast Wars. And it shows.
Yes.
Anyway, continuing on.
Beast Wars.
Kevin Kline played Captain Phoebus. And in the Will Smith classic film Wild Wild West, he played Artemis Gordon. Paul Candell played Clopin Trulifo.
Yeah.
That was the jester, narrator, puppeteer dude.
Yeah. I love his design.
Yes.
I love that design.
And he played a character named Pierre Dupont in something called Sally Heming and American Scandal. He did not have many things to pick from on his cast list.
Okay.
That's why I went with something like that.
Gotcha.
Charles Kimbrough. No relation to you?
Not that I
Okay.
know of.
You can tell we're using the same jokes from yesterday.
No.
He played Victor, the taller of the gargoyles. And in Murphy Brown, he played a character named Jim Dial. And it was like over 200 episodes he played this character in Murphy Brown.
Yeah.
Jason Alexander played Hugo. And he was George Costanza in Seinfeld. Mary Wicks played Laverne. And she, in the Christmas classic White Christmas, she played Emma Allen, the wife of the B&B owner.
Oh, okay.
David Ogden Stiers. Were you about to say something?
That was like good movie. White Christmas. Amazing movie.
David Ogden Stiers played the Archdeacon. And in Pocahontas, he played Governor Radcliffe. But we probably more know him from playing a clock in another film.
Yeah. Beauty and the Beast.
And our good buddy Frank Welker, of course, he played the baby bird and Jolly in this film. The goat.
Because Frank Welker
is the goat. Let's be honest.
Yes.
And, when I do these,
yes,
I always try to pull for Frank Welker, I always try to pull something different. Because we know he was Megatron. We know he's Scooby-Doo.
Yeah.
We know he's every animal that Disney ever needs a voice for.
Yeah.
Up until, what's his name, who played the chicken in Moana?
Oh, you had to put me on the spot right there.
He's K2SO in Rogue One also.
Yes.
I can't think of his name.
Firefly fans just screw me at the...
Yeah, I know.
Screw me like...
Because he's in that too.
This guy.
But anyway.
Yeah.
Until Disney got a hold of him, and now they hire him for all their animal sidekicks.
Right.
But I had to pick something here that was brand new that you're going to hate me for bringing up.
Oh, no.
He played the character William, which was Fred's dad in Velma.
Don't ever speak of that show again. It was evil. It was incarnate. Thank you,
Francis.
Alan Tudyk.
Yeah, it's Alan Tudyk. I couldn't think of his name. He's not in this film.
No, he's not.
He's just replaced Frank Welker for all the animals. Getting into our Kingdom Hearts connections. Do you want to guess how many? And I will give you a hint.
Okay.
The Hunchback of Notre Dame level in Kingdom Hearts would have come out sometime around 2012.
Okay. I'm going to go with 5.
1, 2, 3, 4. Hang on. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9.
9. Okay.
9, actually.
Yeah.
Assuming I'm counting correctly. So we'll go ahead and start off with Frank Welker, who played Baby Bird and Jolly in this. And he played Experiment 221 Sparky in the same game as Hunchback.
Oh, okay.
Jim Cummings,
of course,
was the voices of the guards and the gypsies in this. I didn't bring him up because he's extras basically.
Yeah, but he's Frank Welker.
You mean Jim Cummings?
Jim Cummings, sorry. I get these two gentlemen mixed up all the time, but they're both phenomenal, and they're both the ghosts of animation voices.
Well, in Kingdom Hearts, he played Winnie the Pooh, Tigger, Ed, Pete, the Cheshire Cat, and Julius. David Ogden Steers, who was the archdeacon in this, played both Cogsworth and Dr. Jumba Jukiba and Doc
Okay.
in Kingdom Hearts.
Gotcha.
Corey Burton, who was the brutish guard and additional voices in this, is the person with the most credits in Kingdom Hearts.
Okay.
So hang on.
Okay.
Yensid, Ansem the Wise, Zeus, Dale, Claude Frollo. Point there. Captain Hook, Magic Mirror, Sark, the Master Control Program, Santa Claus, Shan Yu, the Peddler, the White Rabbit, and the Doorknob.
Yeah.
That's a lot of different characters.
That's a lot of characters. Just keep up.
But I want to point out he is, because Tony J would have passed by the time this game came out.
Right.
It is Corey Burton who replaced him as Claude Frollo.
Oh, okay. Roger.
Kathy Sochi, who was additional voices in this, played Sally, Shock, and the one line from Sora's mother.
A woman we never see again, apparently.
And so far, we haven't.
So far.
Bill Farmer was additional voices here, and he played Goofy, Pluto, Horace Horsecaller, and Sleepy in Kingdom Hearts. Tony Anselmo didn't play a character in this.
Really?
He was actually the associate lead key cleanup animator for the Gypsies, Guards, and others. Because he's actually more of an animator than a voice actor.
True.
He just happens to also be able to do the voice of Donald Duck. Yeah. Because I certainly can't.
I certainly can't.
I certainly can't.
I can do Scooby-Doo all day, but not.
Yeah, I can't.
Actually makes sense.
Yeah. Jason Alexander was Hugo in both. And Charles Kimbrough was Victor in both. So, yeah. That's our Kingdom Hearts connections. What do we got in info and stuff?
All right. So, info and stuff. On IMDb, we have a 7.1 out of 10. It's available to watch on Disney Plus if you subscribe to Disney Plus. Production was Walt Disney Pictures and Walt Disney Animated Features. Distribution was Buena Vista Pictures Distribution. I always say that wrong. Distribution. I always say that word wrong. For some strange and bizarre reason. I don't know why.
It's a bit of a tongue twister.
It is a tongue twister. But release date. So, knowing we did this yesterday.
Well, like I remember.
So
I actually do. Actually, now that you said that, it just came to mind what you're about to ask.
Darn it!
But continue to ask the question.
All right. So where was Hunchback of Notre Dame first review or seen in the United States?
For fun, I'm going to give my first answer from yesterday first. Walt Disney World.
Oh, of course not.
Because that would actually make sense.
That would make sense, but no, it's not.
No. It was actually at the Superdome in New Orleans.
In Nolans. Yeah.
Yeah, Nolans. I got to say it correctly.
Yeah.
Nolans.
But yes, it was.
Yeah, here's the thing. It makes sense to some degree because this takes place in France. And we bought Louisiana, including the Orleans colony. We bought from France, so there's that connection.
From Napoleon.
Yes, from Napoleon. But it makes less sense when you consider. I would be willing to bet Princess and the Frog did not get shown at the Superdome.
At that point, maybe,
which would make far more sense.
I agree.
We'll find that out.
And it was actually based in
Nolans.
In Nolans.
We will find that out later this year.
Yes. All right. So going forward, yes, it was shown in the Louisiana Superdome in New Orleans, Louisiana, on June 19th, 1996. And the whole reason we say New Orleans is because our pastor and his wife, their last
Nolans.
Yeah, Nolans.
It's actually, I know it looks like it's spelled NEW space ORLEANS.
New Orleans.
But in reality, it's spelled apostrophe NAWLINS. Nolans.
Okay. But either or, it was shown there on June 19th, and it was distributed nationwide on the 21st of the same month. All right, so our box office, just for funsies, how much do you think this movie had?
I guess too low yesterday.
Yes,
I know that.
Yes.
I want to say you said somewhere close to 12 million.
No.
Or was that the budget?
No, the budget of this movie? No, that's what I meant to say with the budget of this film. If I said that wrong, I apologize.
Was the budget 12 million?
No,
What was it?
100 million.
Oh. And what did it do? Make 12 million domestically because of a boycott?
Yeah, well, you're not wrong. It's first opening weekend starting in June 23rd of 2000. This is 1990s, 1996. In the United States, Canada was $21 million. That's bad.
Yeah.
That is terrible opening.
So
nowadays they would just condemn the film to it's going to die a terrible, horrible death in theaters.
In that instance, it would have left. It would have left. No, how long does Strange World stay in theaters? 2 weeks?
A month. Well, no. It was in there for like about a month. It was in there. For
I think that's because that's standard Disney runtime because that's what they negotiate.
Yeah, no.
But still, there would not have been
it was 2 weeks. It was in 2 weeks in theaters.
2 weeks in theaters, and then within a month, it was on Disney Plus.
Yeah, because how bad this movie did.
And
now, granted, I've never seen it.
I have not seen it. I have no idea how bad this film actually is.
Yeah.
I suspect I'm not going to enjoy it, but I will still go into it with an open mind.
Exactly.
When the time comes.
All right. So, had a run out. Well, the first terrible run out of the box. It made its budget back by a little bit. By its U.S. gross was $100.1 million. This is domestic, and you go international. It made far better with $335.3 million. So yeah, this movie did well. It just didn't do well domestically.
Right.
So home release, The Hunchback of Notre Dame was released on VHS standard SLV. Do you remember what that was?
So SLV and was it SVA?
SAL. SAL. Nah. I love it when it gets tongue-tied.
It's
SLV and SAV.
It's like
C.
So I know
CLV and CAV.
Okay. That's like constant linear velocity and constant angular velocity. It refers to how laser discs were pressed. One of them was shorter than the other.
That is true.
Because it kept it at the same, it rotated the discs at the same speed, while the other one would change the speed depending on whether the laser was closer to the rim or closer to the label.
Exactly.
Do not ask me which one's which. I don't know, and I'm not going to go look it up again. But that was the difference, because I mean, one of them you had 30 minutes of runtime, and the other one you had like an hour on both, like an hour and 15 minutes on both sides.
Oh, okay.
That's what I remember from looking that up yesterday.
Yes. So now you know the difference.
If you ever care about laser discs.
Exactly. Okay. Was released on March 4th, 1997 under the Walt Disney Masterpiece Collection label. In the mid 1988, it made on VHS alone sales was $200 million. It was originally planned for a DVD release on December 2000 as a part of the Walt Disney Gold Classics Collection. That we got it right. Instead, it was re-released on March 19th, 2002 as a special edition with its direct-to-video sequel, Hunchback of Notre Dame 2. Walt Disney Studio Home Entertainment released Hunchback of Notre Dame on Blu-ray for the first time, along with the sequel, with a special edition 2 movie collection on March 2nd, 2013. Now, as I said before, it does have a sequel which came out in 2002, tightly called The Hunchback of Notre Dame 2.
Such a creative name.
Yeah, exactly. So that's all I have for info and stuff.
All right. Before we go on, Artsy Steph in our chat had a question. I'm curious why on earth there was a movie boycott. At that time, I was a tiny bean.
Ah, okay.
So the reason there was a boycott at the time was the Southern Baptist Convention, aka the it's not really it's the governing body of Baptist churches, but they only technically exist twice a year.
Well, the Southern Baptist Convention is
because Baptists are bottom up instead of top to bottom.
Yeah, we're bottom up.
The convention only exists because we say it exists.
Yeah,
at the time.
It's pretty much
we still can do Baptist churches can still do whatever they want,
because the Southern Baptist Convention is a body which the churches are a part of, which they can't dictate anything because our church, for example, is a Southern Baptist church. So we are what's the word? We are our own thing. We are not governed by anybody.
Exactly.
So,
but we send people to go vote for stuff that
to
fund
we send money
for the cooperative program and stuff like that. Either way, at this time, it was a lot of the Southern Baptist SBC affiliated churches had put out a boycott, not just on this film in particular, but Disney in general, due to some issues that would be considered laughable, as much as let's just say we're far worse than what they were boycotting now.
Yeah.
In terms of those kind of relations. But this movie really was like the straw that broke the camel's back, because supposedly I remember they were saying that Esmeralda I don't remember if it was because she was so scantily dressed and was moving, and the way she moves so sexily in this,
like that.
I'm sure Hellfire did not help matters.
No, probably,
especially when we get to some trivia on that. But there was just that kind. It was said, just don't take your kids to this film. Basically, is what it comes down to. That's really all it was. Granted, I was not even wanting to see this film as a kid, so it didn't even affect me that much.
Right.
Other than we technically broke the boycott to watch Toy Story. So yeah, that's what the boycott was.
Right.
On that note, summary. If I can
go to the summary.
If I can type this. The story is narrated by Clopin, a Romani puppeteer, to a group of children. A group of Romani, my thing says Roma throughout the rest of this, but Roma and Romani is the same thing, right?
Yeah, it's just
okay. I'm gonna say Romani because I think that's more accurate. A group of Romani immigrating to Paris are ambushed by Judge Claude Frollo, Paris's Minister of Justice, and his soldiers. One woman attempts to flee with her baby, breaching the doors of Notre Dame, pleading for sanctuary. Frollo chases her down and knocks her onto the cathedral steps, where she fractures her skull and dies. Seeing the baby's appearance, Frollo believes it to be a demon and tries to drown the child, but is interrupted by the archdeacon, who scolds Frollo for murdering an innocent woman. Afraid for his soul, Frollo reluctantly agrees to raise the child as his own, naming him Quasimodo, meaning half-formed, and hiding him away in the cathedral's bell tower. 20 years later, Quasimodo has grown into a kind yet isolated young man, now with a pronounced hunchback caused by kyphosis. He has lived his entire life in the cathedral, with his only company being a trio of living stone gargoyles, Victor, Hugo, and Laverne. The gargoyles encourage him to attend the annual Festival of Fools, despite Frollo's warnings that he would be shunned for his appearance. Quasimodo attends and is celebrated for his appearance, but then, prompted by Frollo's guards, is humiliated by the crowd. Frollo refuses Quasimodo's pleas for help, but he is rescued by Esmeralda, a kind traveler. Frollo, who intends to commit genocide against the Romani people living in Paris, orders her arrest, but Esmeralda escapes using a magic trick. Quasimodo retreats back into the cathedral, followed by Esmeralda and Captain Phoebus of Frollo's guard. Phoebus refuses to arrest her for witchcraft inside Notre Dame and instead tells Frollo that she has claimed asylum. Esmeralda finds and befriends Quasimodo, who helps her escape Notre Dame out of gratitude for defending him. She entrusts Quasimodo with a pendant containing a map to the Romani hideout called the Court of Miracles. Frollo develops an obsessive lust for Esmeralda, and upon realizing this, begs the Virgin Mary to save him from her spell and avoid eternal damnation. When Frollo discovers that Esmeralda escaped, he searches for her, bribing and arresting travelers and setting fire to houses while trying to find her. Phoebus defies Frollo when ordered to burn down a house with a family inside, and Frollo orders him executed. Phoebus flees but is struck by an arrow and falls into the River Seine, where he is found by Esmeralda and taken to Notre Dame for refuge. The gargoyles encourage Quasimodo to confess his feelings to Esmeralda, but he is heartbroken to discover she and Phoebus have fallen in love. Realizing that Quasimodo helped Esmeralda escape, Frollo tells him he knows about the Court of Miracles and plans to attack it at dawn. Using the map Esmeralda gave him, Quasimodo and Phoebus find the court to warn the Romani, only for Frollo to follow them and capture all the travelers present. When Esmeralda again rejects Frollo's advances, he attempts to burn her at the stake at the Place du Parvis. But Quasimodo swoops down and carries her to the cathedral tower, crying, "Sanctuary!" from the ledge. When Frollo attempts to seize the cathedral, Phoebus releases the Romani and rallies the Paris citizens against Frollo's guards. Quasimodo and the gargoyles pour molten lead onto the streets to prevent anyone entering, but Frollo himself manages to break into the cathedral beforehand. Violating the tradition of sanctuary, he pursues Quasimodo and Esmeralda to the bell tower with the intent of killing them both. He and Quasimodo fight, eventually both falling from a ledge. Frollo plummets to his death in the molten lead while Quasimodo is saved by Phoebus. Quasimodo accepts Phoebus and Esmeralda's love, and they encourage him to leave the cathedral. When he does so, the people of Paris hail him as a hero. Getting into the trivia for this. The opening musical number, The Bells of Notre Dame, is, according to Alan Menken, the best opening number he has ever written. The song Hellfire is considered one of the darkest songs written for Disney film and was nearly cut from the film.
I wonder why.
Yeah, because for the scene when Judge Frollo sings Hellfire and sees Esmeralda dancing in the fire before him, the Motion Picture Association of America insisted that the Disney animators make Esmeralda's clothing more well-defined, as she seemed nude. In the novel, Frollo is actually the archdeacon. The filmmakers decided to change the character to a judge because they felt it would be much more sinister to have control over the city and therefore would not be questioned in his attempts to destroy the gypsies. There were also concerns that religious groups would be offended by a priest being portrayed as sinister and corrupt, which might have also justified the change. When Quasimodo is singing Out There, the camera pans over Paris and zooms in on a street. In this scene, Belle from Beauty and the Beast is seen walking and reading her book. She walks out the bottom of the screen to the right of the well. Pumbaa from The Lion King is being carried on a pole by two men, carried out of the bottom of the screen but left of the well, and another man in a gray-blue tunic is shaking out the carpet from Aladdin. According to the commentary on the DVD, when Kevin Kline did the voice of Phoebus, the directors gave him a sword so that he'd portray the role. They also named the horse Achilles because it was funny to hear him say, "Achilles, heel."
Hilarious.
This film was the final feature film credit for veteran actress Mary Wicks, who died before finishing all her lines. A vocal stand-in, Jane Withers, recorded her remaining lines. Withers had to match Wicks's voice and performances so that audiences wouldn't detect the difference. She reprised this role in the sequel, The Hunchback of Notre Dame 2. To stay consistent to the architecture and details of Notre Dame, animators spent several weeks in and around the actual cathedral. They were given office space at the recently opened Disneyland Paris in the interim. Esmeralda has emerald green eyes, the reason presumably being because Esmeralda is the Spanish and Portuguese word for emerald. During the Middle Ages, green eyes were often considered to be a sign of either magic, evil, and or witchcraft, which explains why Disney's earlier villains had green eyes and therefore as such, the color was restricted only to villains. This explains why she was designed to look malicious despite being the heroine, and why Frollo, who is outright evil, actually sees her as being evil despite her true good nature. Originally, the three gargoyles were going to be named Chaney, Lawton, and Quinn after the three actors who had played Quasimodo in other adaptations of the story: Lon Chaney, Charles Lawton, and Anthony Quinn. The original voices of the gargoyles, respectively, were going to be Sam McMurray, Charles Kimbrough, and Cyndi Lauper. After Disney's legal department objected to using the actors' names, the Disney animators renamed two of the gargoyles as Victor and Hugo. Director Kirk Wise came up with the third name, Laverne, after Laverne Andrews of the Andrews Sisters. After several years, the characters of the gargoyles were changed to make them reflect three sides of Quasimodo's personality. Eventually, the directors realized that they had to recast two of the voices. Charles Kimbrough was kept on to voice Victor, but McMurray and Lauper were reluctantly let go. In their places, the director cast Jason Alexander as Hugo and Mary Wicks as Laverne. Nathan Lane was also considered for the voice of Hugo, but was unavailable due to his Broadway commitments. And as I said yesterday at this point, Mary Wicks at no point ever played the Wicked Witch of the West, because what one scene makes you think she did.
Yeah.
But no, that was included because Kirk Wise and the other director, who I don't have his name in front of me right now, were kind of big fans of The Wizard of Oz.
Yeah, like most
to the
people.
point where they went and either, I don't know if they wrote or directed Wicked.
No,
They were involved in production of Wicked.
the songwriter.
They were the songwriter. Okay.
The songwriter of this movie went on to produce Wicked.
That's what I was trying to remember.
Yes.
Despite
Good play, by the way.
Yeah. Despite Frollo claiming to be a righteous man, he displays some form of all 7 of the 7 deadly sins in the lyrics of Hellfire.
Mm-hmm.
This was likely done intentionally to show his hypocritical way of thinking. The lines, "Of my virtue I am justly proud, and you know I'm so much purer than the common, vulgar, weak, licentious crowd," showing him displaying pride, considered the most dangerous of the 7, as it is often used to justify the other 6 deadly sins, or even to deny committing them in the first place, as shown here. This is displayed frequently in the song and the film as a whole, and could be considered the first he has committed. Frollo's intense desire for Esmeralda to be his and his alone show lust, envy, and greed. Lust for the intense sexual desire for Esmeralda, especially her body alone. Envy towards anyone who may gain her affections, and greed for seeing her merely as an item to be gained, and wanting her intensely even though he doesn't actually need her. His intent to destroy her if she does not comply is an example of anger and wrath. Frollo claiming it to not be his fault, he is sinning, and blaming Esmeralda for tempting him can be seen as an act of sloth, as he is not taking the initiative to better himself, nor taking responsibility for his own sins. And gluttony is sometimes interpreted as selfishness, displayed when Frollo says he will burn down all of Paris, despite that what it would do to the innocence of the city to get to Esmeralda. In the book, sorry, I did this again yesterday. Quasimodo's mother dies after being pushed on the ground and hitting her head.
Yeah.
In the novel, this is how Esmeralda's mother dies.
Mm-hmm.
Because in the actual book, Quasimodo's mother, who is a gypsy, is the one who steals Esmeralda from her cradle and leaves Quasimodo behind in her place, ideally because she is pretty and he is deformed. She leaves behind one red baby slipper, which Esmeralda's mother uses to attempt to find her. Esmeralda is given the other slipper and is told if she stays virtuous, that she will find her birth mother again. Quasimodo, on the other hand, is left at Notre Dame by Esmeralda's birth mother, due to his appearance, to be adopted. He is completely unwanted by the people of the town and is taken in by Claude Frollo, who, once again, as I mentioned, was actually the archdeacon in the original story, who keeps him in the bell tower. This plot point is vastly different from the Disney version, where Quasimodo's mother is a virtuous woman who dies on the steps of Notre Dame in an attempt to save her baby. The filmmakers briefly considered having Quasimodo killed off, since that is his fate in the original novel. He was originally supposed to be stabbed by Frollo, then Esmeralda, regaining consciousness, tries to save him by killing Frollo. Phoebus was then supposed to meet up with him, and Quasimodo's last wish was to ring the bells one last time. They take him to the bells, then Esmeralda and Phoebus help him up to ring the bells as he dies. The final shot was going to include Esmeralda and Phoebus crying over their best friend as the people of Paris cheer for their success, unaware of Quasimodo's death.
That sounds like a very cheerful ending to a
Yes.
film.
Luckily, this is not the ending that was used, because even hardcore fans of the novel agree that the ending that was used was a more suitable conclusion for the theme of this film. I love to know how the person who wrote this trivia knew that. Just saying.
Insider information.
When Frollo falls to his fiery death, this symbolizes his soul being trapped in hell, suffering eternal damnation. His final words in life were, "And he shall smite the wicked and plunge them into the fiery pit." And that's why he went there. Although most protagonists in Disney animated theatrical releases are orphans, this is only the fourth to portray the actual death of the parent on screen. The previous films were Bambi, The Fox and the Hound, and The Lion King. Between The Lion King and Hunchback, the body of the parent is seen on screen, but blood is only shown in this film. Last but not least, Quasimodo bears a resemblance to the 1939 film version that starred Charles Laughton as the titular character. This including the scene where he carries an unconscious Esmeralda and lifts her up into the air, shouting, "Sanctuary!" And that brings me to the end of the trivia. So what's your first like for this film?
My first like of this film. Let me get to my notes. All right, so my first like of this film is actually the dark themes. This movie deals with a lot of really I don't know, it's a touchy subject because it's actual death of a character, death of a mother, and we actually see it on screen as it happens.
Yeah.
And granted, it's animated, but still, it's very brutal. It's a very brutal and very honest movie where, like, Hunchback be like, or Quasimodo is be like, he's taken in by Captain Frollo. Sorry, I want to call him Captain Frollo, but his name is Captain Frollo.
No, he's Judge
Frollo. I'm sorry, Judge Frollo. And so be like, yeah, he's gaslighted the entire time. And this movie be like, it deals with death, it deals with like a lot of sin on Judge Frollo's part, which I kind of enjoy because they never really went back. Because there again, this is a movie that's trying not to be religious, but it's being religious in a way.
Because it's kind of hard not to be with this story.
That is true. That is so true. But Disney does a good job with it. Does all with it. Now, granted, they're not going to go whole, be like Jesus is Lord kind of thing,
right?
Which be like, that's us, but we can't expect the world to do what we want,
right?
But so, but like, yeah, the dark themes of the movie I love to death. It's be like, oh, they're actually trying to burn down the church. Oh, how ironic that would happen a couple of 15 years later.
What is it, 20?
Yeah.
It was in the last 10 years. So that would be 20. That would be 20 years from this film.
Yeah. Ironically. That Notre Dame burned in the movie. They were trying to burn it down, which is sad because the Notre Dame Cathedral was built in, I think, the 1500s, which is sad. But at the same time, be like, it's kind of ironic they're trying to burn trying to burn the church down in the film, and it actually burns in real life. No connection whatsoever. But
right.
But I just thought I would bring that up. But an
interesting note. I'll let you get back to your point in a second.
Yes.
Do you know? Did you know that there is an Assassin's Creed game that takes place in Paris, who had such good accuracy with its version of the cathedral that they're actually using it to help them rebuild the plans from that?
This. Good job, Ubisoft.
Yeah, go Ubisoft.
So yeah, the themes in this movie I love. Definitely when it talks about Judge Frollo and his desires for Esmeralda, and just goes in like, there again, Quasimodo's mother, the heinous things that Judge Frollo is doing, and the fact to be like, oh, we're gonna execute the captain. Oh, you don't hear that all the time. Because there again, I wish Disney would go back to these darker themes and just not like fluffy and trying to be political or trying to be, do social things. Just do really, really good stories. We can drive, just drive us in the theaters, and we want to hear those stories. Come on, Disney. But
the darker stuff has not really done well every time they've tried it. I'm just saying.
But deeper stories.
Yes.
Deeper stories. That's all.
Just good stories. Good stories.
Good stories. Come on, Disney, you can do better. But yeah, just the storytelling and the themes are just amazing in this movie. Of a boy who just be like, he's kind of been he's an outcast, and he kind of comes to his own. I'll get that in a little bit later.
Right.
So, yeah. What's your first like?
The performance of Tony Jay as Judge Frollo.
Gosh, yes.
I love how Tony Jay does an exceptional job as this character, because he is able to pull off what I can call both types of villains.
Yes.
The villains who in their own story, they're not the villain.
Yes.
They are the hero of their story because they think they're doing, based on what they understand, to be the right thing. But anyone who looks at them from outside of their perspective says, no, you're not. And then somehow at the same time, he's the other kind of villain, the Snidely Whiplash over there, twisting his mustache because he's so evil, so deliciously evil. And it's like, how do you do both at the same time? They're diametrically opposed types. And how is Tony Jay doing both? I know what it is.
Yeah.
They intentionally cast the most evil sounding character actor on the planet. Like I said, this guy was Megabyte. This guy was Shere Khan, and not just Tailspin, but in the Jungle Book 2, he played that role. He was also, do you remember in Beauty and the Beast, the guy who runs the asylum that comes to pick up that.
Yes,
that's him too.
Yeah, he plays a good villain.
He is a very good evil sounding villain, which is good because this movie does kind of, even though it asks you at the very beginning, can you tell who is the hero and who is the monster?
Mm-hmm.
And they pretty much tell you from like second one, Judge Frollo's the villain. He's the monster. Everyone else is the hero.
Mm-hmm.
Or at least Quasimodo, is going to be the hero. You kind of know that going into it because it's not called The Judge Who Saved Paris.
Mm-hmm.
It's called The Hunchback of Notre Dame.
Mm-hmm.
So it's obviously the one who you're claiming to be the monster is the monster, and he's obviously not the one that's monstrous looking. You kind of see that coming, but it works so stinking well. And of course, I'll get more into the songs here in a minute, but his song Hellfire is it's one of the best Disney villain songs because somehow, it's not one I would put on in the car.
Yeah.
To sing along to. This is not a Be Prepared or Poor Unfortunate Souls type of song where it's kind of just fun to sing because, how often do you get to pretend to be evil?
That is true.
This is not that kind of song because it's not really a sing-along type song, but it's like, oh, so deliciously dark and disturbing and yet understandable.
Yes.
And very understandable, which is the scariest part of it.
Yeah. You can kind of relate to him in some twisted way.
Because that's the great thing about this particular villain. He rationalizes every action to the point where it's like, I follow your train of thought, but you're obviously wrong.
A little bit.
So
just a little bit.
Yeah. Tony Jay does an excellent job in this performance, and I love it.
Yeah.
What's your second like?
My second like would actually be one of the songs, God Help the Outcasts, which is sung by probably most of the cast. But what I'm recalling, mostly Esmeralda, because she's stuck in sanctuary inside Notre Dame and she can't leave because Judge Frollo has got the entire church surrounded. So yeah, she can't go anywhere, and so she's in mass and praying with people. And you hear people where there's a great illustration where Jesus is talking about how we pray and how we lift up praise to God, where it's this man, he's literally be like, Lord, thank you so much for all this wealth and blessing in my life, and be like, thank you that I'm not this person.
Yeah.
And then you have the poor widow, or they call her the widow mite, where she comes and be like, thanks God for life and endurance and everything, and be like the other dude gives like a ton of money. Just gives bukus of money.
I think you've combined two different stories, but I get what you're going at.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm thinking probably just
because you're thinking the widow's mite, where the one got the Pharisee gives like a ton of money.
Yeah, and
then the widow, and this wasn't a parable. This was actually something that happened in front of Jesus and the disciples.
That's right.
And she gives the little bit, and Jesus says she's given more than the man did.
Yeah,
and the Pharisee did, and then. It may even be within the same chapter.
That's probably that's probably it.
That Jesus is telling the parable of the self-righteous man who's up there praying, says, "Thank you for everything you've given me. Thank you for all this, and thank you that I'm not like this poor, this beggar man over here mumbling and not doing anything." And then of course you got that guy's over there going, "I'm a horrible sinner." He's and he's actually he comes and the poor man is comes away saved because he recognizes his fallen nature while the Pharisee is still sinning.
Yeah.
I think that's what you're getting at.
Yes,
sorry.
I am.
I'm sorry to jump on that, but I got to think it's like you've combined two different stories.
Yes, I have, and occasionally I do that by mistake. But thank you for interrupting and making it more clear, because I was like, oh, I didn't realize I was making those two. I was blending two stories, but. Yeah, it's more because you have all these other people that praising for wealth, praising for this, and Esmeralda is simply like just be like those for the outcasts, and that's what Christ calls us to do, is to clothe and shelter the widows, and the needy, and the poor, and we look at our own. I think our pastor made a very good point about like we look at our worldly possessions and we think that's going to be the top thing in our lives when it should be like serving God and having that relationship with Christ in an intimate way, rather than be like, oh, I go to church once a month, or I go to church only during Easter or Christmas. But yeah, it's having that intimate relationship with God and having that, solid foundation in Christ, and the outpouring of the Holy Spirit when it comes to doing good. And it's not, oh, I got to do good because it's going to make me better, or it's going to have me send me to heaven. No, it's not, because your works are filthy rags. So yeah, because we're supposed to take care of those who are less fortunate than us, or be like, heck, us as Americans, oh my gosh, we are
we're spoiled.
We're spoiled rotten. Oh my gosh. And he just dropped his phone. But sorry, you're good. But it's like, yeah, you go to I went to Mexico for a mission trip back in 2009. And there again, be like, this is like deep Mexico. And these people don't have a whole lot. I mean, like they have, just brick built or cinder block buildings, cinder block homes with thatch roofs and the whole bit. And these people are just like, you go into their sanctuary, or they go into your sanctuary, and it's literally, it's like everything's handmade and just beautiful. It really humbles you for what you have as an American. And every once in a while we will lose our ever living minds if the cell service drops, or oh my gosh, I dropped my phone, or oh my gosh, my $200 tennis shoes,
or the air conditioning goes out.
Right. Well, if you live in Texas, that's like, oh my God, we're gonna die.
Admittedly, that's a bit of a selfish thought, because it's like, it's feels like 105 degrees outside right now. It's a boiling pot outside.
That is true
right now.
Yeah, that's true.
So I really don't
Texas,
I want the AC to stay on, please.
Exactly. But yeah, we as Americans, we're very selfish, and we're the first world problems when we don't think about those people that don't have anything, and they're probably worshiping God more than we are.
Yeah.
So take that in mind. So yeah. All right, so yeah, I enjoy that song where it's that great contrast of people like thanking God for all their wealth, where it's Esmeralda for the outcasts and those who are in need, which is what we're supposed to do as Christians. So there we go.
All right.
What's your number 2?
The music in this film.
Yes.
Unlike most Disney musicals, this isn't a musical. Because musicals generally are everyone breaks out in song for no apparent reason. Opera, which is what this is more like. I wouldn't call it exactly opera, because I mean there is a lot of dialogue, but
not singing the entire time.
But the song, when you go into song, it fits better, and the whole story kind of moves musically, from beginning to end. There is, and a lot of it is because I even mentioned, I think yesterday when we were first recording this, it goes from God Help the Outcasts to like a quick little interstitial thing as we're changing scenes to straight into Hellfire. Talk about a 90-degree turn.
Yes.
Because you God help the outcasts to Hellfire desire, and I can't sing the whole thing. I love the way this thing moves from one. It feels like it's all flows easily from beginning to end. Yes, there are moments of action. Yes, there are moments of dialogue, and it's not all singing, but it feels like an opera, and I love that. I've not seen many operas, so my description of an opera could be very off, but from my understanding, this is very operatic at the very least. So yeah, I love that this moves like an opera. What is your third like?
My third like, let me get back to my notes. I wanted to thank somebody in the chat real fast, but so I just did it on did somewhere else. So Quasimodo is a character. He is almost like Hercules from Zero to Hero. It's the exact same thing, except it's done 10 times better. It's more of it's two different styles, but it's Quasi goes from a young man who is one gaslit by quote unquote father who doesn't like him at all. But he's one of these very loyal.
Gee, that sounds like a parent in an upcoming movie.
Yeah, exactly.
That we're re-reviewing.
Yeah, exactly. So, what I'm trying not to get thrown off by that. That was good. That was very good. But you have Quasimodo, who's a young man who's been gaslit his entire life. He is literally an outcast. He has the deformity, and like his own father shuns him. Be like, oh, because you're nothing. Be like, you'll never do anything. Be like, you have to obey me my entire time. Which be like, obey your father. Be like,
Stay
obey your
in your
father.
tower.
Yeah, stay in your tower. Yeah.
I'm sorry,
Mother Gothel. I'll be like, I'm just gonna say this.
I really what Disney needs. What I want Disney to do right now.
Yeah.
I need a short where Rapunzel and Quasimodo meet.
Oh, heck.
They would have a lot to talk about.
Yes, they would. They were like, oh my God. Well, granted, it'd be like Quasi would be kind of shy, and then we all know
but that's
Rapunzel.
That's how they make the connection.
That is true.
They both were stuck in towers by parents who really didn't like them,
True.
and both wanted to see the outside world.
Oh, okay.
And it took a man with a smolder to get them out.
You're not kidding. You are not kidding. Good. Oh my gosh. Yes, the connections with this movie with Tangled, which came out in 2010,
which we're re-reviewing next week. I might as well say it now.
Yes. So yeah,
totally unplanned, by the way.
Totally unplanned. But yeah, just like Quasi, just be like he's the down and luck kind of guy. He doesn't have the confidence. Kind of reminds me in some capacity. Be like he's encouraged by his friends. Go and do this. And so like there's just certain points throughout the film that he gains confidence, not through his own arrogance, not through his own pride, but just through like people. It's like, oh, he's actually a really cool dude.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah, Esmeralda, who is being very kind and very generous and very loving towards him, and like something he's never had before. And then you have what's the captain's name again? Phoebus
means sun god.
Yeah, Phoebus. Yes.
Boy, that's not pretentious at all.
No, it's not.
I don't blame him for that. That was his parents' fault.
Right. Or the writers.
It's Victor Hugo's fault. Let's move on.
Okay, never mind. I thought he was kind of...
Yeah. That was the characters that I did a double check. That was apparently his name in the book.
Got it. All right.
That line wasn't in the book, I don't think, but...
Sure, that was a good line, though. Achilles, heel.
Mm-hmm.
Good line. Oh, my gosh.
That.
Good. Love it.
If you don't know what we're talking about...
Go watch the movie.
No. I was going to say, the reason why Achilles' heel is funny...
Yes.
Because if you don't know about Achilles, he was this guy... that was as a baby was from the Trojan War. Mm-hmm. His mother dipped him in the river Styx to make him invincible, but the place where she kept a hold of him so she could bring him back out was his heel, and that's became his weak part because it was the only part that didn't get touched by the water.
Yeah,
and so that's why it's funny to say Achilles heel.
Yeah, true.
Sit on the man.
Yeah, sit, boy. But.
Right time, wrong show.
Yes, exactly.
And wrong country.
And we're not reviewing Inuyasha yet.
Keywords.
Yet. But it's more like a young man who doesn't have confidence and his encounters with other people and that allow him to grow as a person. But so we again trying not to get distracted by the chat. It's too good. It's like I want to grab
the bad part is the camera is right between me and the chat, so I can't hardly read it.
I can see it. But we have Quasimodo's journey from the outcast, who is the young man who doesn't have the confidence, to the one who comes in and does the right thing and becomes the hero that he's supposed to be.
Mm-hmm.
And thankfully, they decided not to go with that first idea of just killing Quasimodo off from the book.
Yeah.
Yeah, great idea, because you want your hero to live. Even though he doesn't get the girl, he's still accepted for who
It
he
would
is.
be an odd thing for a Disney film to be a tragedy, if we're being honest.
I agreed. It would have been this would have been dark theme. That would have been, oh my gosh. I'm leaving the theater sad.
Mm-hmm. I mean, maybe a Pyrrhic happy ending, I could see.
Yeah.
That you could probably get away with that. But a full-on tragedy, no, that doesn't work for Disney.
No.
That would feel weird. But anyway.
Right. So, yes, we have this amazing story of a young man who goes from basically zero to hero in the most fantastic way that you can see someone who has no self-confidence, kind of like I am in some capacity, to where he is encouraged,
Mm-hmm.
and triumphs over diversity and some prejudice in the whole bit, and comes out on top. And I enjoy that kind of story. I enjoy where the underdog becomes the hero and everybody enjoys it. And it's he doesn't get the girl, but it is a great story. It is a great heroic story of a character.
You said underdog.
Yes, I said underdog.
And now in my head, I'm hearing speed of lightning, roar of thunder, fighting all who loot and plunder, underdog.
Boom.
Anyway, my third
Yes.
this film.
Yes.
I like that while it is a traditional hero story, it is told from the point of view of the sidekick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
Think of this like Aladdin.
Yeah.
Phoebus is obviously the Aladdin of this. Granted, he's not. Aladdin was not quite as good looking as Phoebus was.
True.
I mean,
Phoebus has a really good design.
right. He wasn't as lucky, we'll say, as Phoebus was in terms of his lot in life.
Yes.
Obviously, Esmeralda would be the Jasmine of this analogy. And who does that leave for Quasimodo? Genie. He is definitely the genie of this relationship, if we're being honest. But those movies are never told from. That movie was not told from Genie's point of view.
That is true.
It's told from Aladdin's.
Mm-hmm.
This movie does have the boy getting the girl and the girl being the princess.
That is true.
Basically.
Yes.
But neither one of them are the primary protagonist.
Mm-hmm.
Quasimodo's the protagonist, and he doesn't get anything.
That is true.
Other than he gets to leave and gets self-respect and gets a certain judge out of his hair.
True.
So I mean, I like that while it's still a classical story, it's told from a different perspective than you normally see. And that's what I appreciate from this. He wants the girl, sure, but he doesn't get the girl. He's not supposed to get the girl.
Yeah.
Phoebus is supposed to get the girl. You know that from the minute you see him.
Right.
And you don't really feel bad about it.
Okay.
Because they're all good friends.
That is true.
So yeah, I like how this is, like I said, a classic hero story from the point of view of the sidekick.
Oh, okay.
So why don't we go ahead and get started on our dislikes?
Yes.
What's your first?
What's my first dislike?
Well, I try to remember mine.
Going back into my notes. So they're using cap system for this show.
I do remember mine.
And
now.
yes, because you brought it up. So this was one of the first, not one of the first, but they're using
caps have been used since 1989.
Yeah,
because they had tests of it in Little Mermaid. It was first used for the whole film with Rescuers Down Under.
Right. So you're using a lot of cap system the whole bit.
Mm-hmm.
So
a lot of nice deep colors.
Yes, exactly. So the point I'm trying to get at. So you have these amazing detailed backgrounds for this movie. And there is, so when you get into the night scenes, Be like, and you try to look off in the distance, like, yeah, you see little lights here and there, but everything's just muddy and it's just dull and gray. And,
right.
And they're understanding you're trying to set the mood for the scene. But at the same time, be like, can we get a little detail, a little more in the background, and not everything feels like it was brushed over with a lacquer?
So this is not an excuse or a rationalization or anything like that. This is just, as far as I can tell, a reason.
Yes.
So bear in mind, I kind of agree with you. I do agree with you.
Yes.
But this might be the why I just kind of let it go. With the Caps being a digital paint system, it's going to have a limited gamut of colors that you don't normally get with like regular cell paint. So, and the weird thing is that there's not a lot of dark colors you can actually use. They were probably trying to stay away from Aladdin-esque nighttime colors.
Agreed.
Or Lion King-esque nighttime colors.
I agree.
They don't want nighttime in this world to feel magical.
Right.
And unfortunately, they don't. That doesn't leave them many colors to work with.
True.
They don't go with pure black, because pure black wouldn't have worked. They have some black in there, but they use some kind of brownish purples and blues, which, like you said, makes it muddy.
Yes.
Like I said, that's not an excuse. It's a reason.
Yes. Agreed. But yeah, be like, I agree with you, but at the same time, be like, going back to be like, give the background a little more pop to make it more noticeable, but not draw your attention all the way. With this, it's just like, it's dull and boring.
I mean, thankfully, there's not that many nighttime scenes.
Agreed.
Where that's actually a worry.
Yeah, that's true.
The scenes that we get close enough, they actually use more sunset colors, which works because in most cases that is him and Esmeralda hanging out on top of the cathedral, and then of course the fire, which is all reds and yellows.
Oh, okay.
But
gotcha.
Yeah, I know what scenes you're talking about, and thankfully they don't happen as often.
Right.
So that's kind of why I give it a pass.
Okay. Gotcha. All right. So what's your first?
Oh, mine's involved with the digital animation, but not with the Cap system in this instance, because while Caps, like I said, had been used since '89, this is one of the first times they are really using CG within the 2D animation. And then, grant, they've been using that at least since Great Mouse Detective.
Yes,
but a lot of times up until this point, the CG, the 3D CG, when it's been used, has been to highlight, to accentuate what's going on in the scene. Think the hall that Belle and Beast are dancing in Beauty and the Beast. The wildebeests chasing Simba through the canyon.
Yeah, the gorge. Yeah,
the gorge. You don't notice the CG in those a lot of times, and the only reason I know it's CG is because we've reviewed both these films, and I've had to research these films and go, oh, that's what that is. In this one, the CG is noticeable because they used it for shortcuts in the filmmaking process.
Yeah,
granted, the thing this movie had to do that no other animated Disney film had to do was have crowd scenes.
Oh, okay.
In that square.
Yeah. For
the most part, it is fine. The problem is because they're trying to give the wild and crazy movement of cheering and such. They a lot of times animated very short animation sequences for each of these characters.
True. And
they loop incessantly.
Yes, agreed.
You mentioned, I think yesterday when we were recording this, there's this one guy who's holding a flag and he just kind of raises it up and down over and over again, like he's casting, he's fishing for something. And it's like that throughout the whole thing. The only thing they actually had to do to fix this was just make longer loops and space them out in the crowd where they're not quite as noticeable that's what you're doing. And plus, the other thing I don't like about this is some of those characters that are in those backgrounds, they are actually 3D characters. And they're noticeable because this is before cell animation was really good.
Yeah, I agree.
Because they're not plasticky, mind you, because they are at least vector graphics and then colored in caps.
Yeah.
So it looks, good, but you can tell there's too much three-dimensionality to these characters for their art style.
Yeah.
And it's distracting to me, and that's why I don't like. Now, granted, things like they use for like the bells, and granted, they kind of looks two-dimensional in a way that's different from the two-dimensional of the world. The rest of the world, it feels like it at least has depth. This feels like it's a flat piece of paper in the shot. That could have been done a little bit better, but it's just so many points in this where I don't know if they were experimenting or if this was the only way they could figure out how to do it, and it just didn't work as well. It's the CG shortcuts throughout the entire film are just distracting to me.
Fair enough.
What's your next dislike? I forgot what number we're on. 2.
2. My second one kind of bounces off Drew's a little bit. It does when you have all these massive crowd shots. Not granted, this was the first time that Disney used a massive crowd. It was like the biggest crowd they'd done so far until the next movie we're reviewing, which is Tangled.
Yeah, but that's a full 3D film. That's a little bit different.
That's true. But also, you do see a lot of repetition of different characters.
Right, but they get a lot better about that.
Yeah.
Like,
I agree. But
them and Pixar get a lot better about that.
Oh, yeah, I agreed. But in this film, be like, they're using new technology. They are using the full advantage of new technology to do bigger and better things and making the movie experience even better. But you do see a lot of repetition of character designs throughout the scenes. And it's like, oh, this guy from the market. Oh, you see the same guy over and over and over again. And they're in like Drew said, like I said yesterday, the first recording was you literally see a guy with a flag. He does this and pull back position. And like he's casting a line. And so I just kind of found that a little weird. But there again, for kudos for Disney for doing something new and trying new technology to a bigger and greater consent. That's all right.
Extent.
Thank you. Extent. But yeah, that was my kind of the repetition of just characters and big scenes.
All right.
Yeah. So what's
my second dislike? It's going to be the gargoyles themselves.
That's right. Yeah.
Because they don't do a good job of making it obvious if these gargoyles are in Quasimodo's head. And this is just personifications of his personality that he's talking to because he has nobody else to talk to. Because they're that for part of this film. And then there's the final battle scene. Where they are the ones pouring hot lead and sicking birds on passersby, and one of them is a machine gun for a hot minute. How, if they are personifications in his own mind and figments of Quasimodo's imagination, are they capable of actually doing this?
Sure.
Or are they actually real and they somehow turn to stone before anybody else sees them? Grant, there's evidence for that too.
Yeah.
They don't you got to go one way or the other. You can't have your cake and eat it too with this one. I'm sorry. I need to know this is either personifications of Quasimodo's inner thoughts or if these are actually people who happen to be speaking to him.
Right.
Because we only ever see 4 gargoyles.
Right.
Become alive.
I thought it was 3.
The 3 gargoyles that we have talking about, plus the one that Claude Frollo is hanging from before he falls into the fiery pit.
Yeah, that's true. That is true.
It comes alive at the last second.
That's true.
So I'm sitting there going, wait, are these just supposed to be in his head? Or are they supposed to actually be here and somehow nobody notices them? Or at this point, neither Esmeralda or Phoebus, who are up there when this is happening, are caring that 3 stone gargoyles are raining havoc on the people down below and asking, Quasimodo, what's going on? Oh, these are my friends. See, this is Victor, this is Hugo, this is Laverne. It's like, but they're stone statues. It's like, yes, and How? But here's the thing, that never happens.
Sure.
Because as far as I can tell, in that scene, either somehow they did not see any of this happening, or they saw it and willfully said, "Oh, that's weird. I'm moving on."
Yeah.
It's like, hello, if a statue starts moving around, I'm going to be asking.
Yeah, asking questions.
And then because I've watched a lot of Doctor Who, I'm going to know not to look at it, because what views a weeping angel becomes a weeping angel. Don't blink.
Yeah.
The angels have the phone box.
Yeah, good thing he doesn't have his Christmas tree up yet. Because he always has a weeping angel up there.
Yeah, it is my angel, actually. Angel on top of my tree.
So that's right.
Anyway,
So don't blink.
don't blink when you're watching.
Oh, toast.
There's a reason up until now that the angel has been off screen. To save y'all. Anyway, but that's my issue here.
Okay.
It's presented as both figments of Quasimodo's imagination and actual living beings who are attacking the townsfolk.
Yeah.
They can't be both. Pick one.
Agreed.
It's confusing. And if this live action version that we keep hearing rumors about,
If it does happen at all.
needs to fix this, it needs to pick one.
Yeah. Either they're real life and animate objects, or they're just stoned and they're just be like.
And if you still want them to participate in the battle, here's the easy way to fix it. Have one talk to Esmeralda.
Yeah.
And then move on. That's it. I mean, granted, we do have that one scene where George Costanza, and that's not Jason Alexander. Sorry, I don't even watch Seinfeld, and I went to Costanza first. He does turn alive long enough to stick his tongue out at Frollo, and Frollo kind of sees him, and it's like, so there is some idea that they're real, but pick one.
Yeah, agreed.
It doesn't quite work. What's your third dislike?
The third dislike, I really don't have one.
And that was my problem too.
Yeah, exactly. Like you had a really good point last time.
But I kind of made that up off the top of my head, and I now definitely don't remember it.
Yeah.
But anyway, yeah, we don't have it as apparently neither one of us have a third.
Those are third.
So we're gonna leave it here. Jacob, what are you rating this film?
Okay, so where are my notes?
And we had the same rating yesterday. I'm curious if it stayed that way.
Okay, yeah. So there again, we did record this yesterday. There was bad audio issues.
Yes,
So
I made a mistake. I made a mistake in the settings.
It happens. So I originally rated this an 8.5. And there again, I was so torn between that. So I'm just giving it a 9. It's such a good movie. So
okay.
So I changed it from yesterday to today. So it's a 9.
I'm sticking at 8.5.
Okay.
Because as I said, this is a good movie.
Yeah.
But in order for me to put it at a 9, to get it higher than where I'm sitting it, it's got to be something I want to rewatch at a later date.
True.
It's a good movie. Do not get me wrong. I do not regret my time watching it. In fact, I would be happy to watch this later with somebody else. But if you're talking, I'm sitting here in the apartment, I'm looking for something to watch, and I happen to be going through Disney Plus, and I see Hunchback of Notre Dame on the menu, not going to be the button I press. I'm sorry. So yeah, giving it an 8.5.
Fair.
Next week, as we have definitely alluded to a couple times, we're doing a rewind episode back to Tangled. So join us next week for that.
Yeah.
In the meantime, we're going to play the bumpers, and then we're going to go to talk about what we've been watching,
the news,
and some X-Men.
This podcast is a proud member of Culture Box. Whether you enjoy geeky reviews, comedy, or original fiction, you can open up the Culture Box and find something excellent for your soul. Point your web browser to culturebox.media.
This week, we suggest Playing Games with Strangers. Playing Games with Strangers is a family-friendly, actual play tabletop podcast where indie voice actors get together and play tabletop role-playing games. You can listen to the adventures unfold as they roll dice, slay monsters, and have fun, all at playinggameswithstrangers.com.
The Cellcast would like to thank the following patrons: Ashley and Francisco Ruiz, Book of Gaming, PaulJPowers.com,
And not this
Melanie
person because I still need to take
To
them
get
off.
your name on the show, plus uncut episodes, early access to the Cellcast Plus reviews, and special art from Jacob, please donate to us on Patreon.
So, Jacob, I've got a question for you, my friend.
Mm-hmm.
What have you been watching?
All right. So what have I been watching? So we had to postpone the 2 weeks ago or a week and a half ago.
We have a rule on the show that real life comes first.
Yeah, that's true.
Not that the podcast isn't real,
That's true.
but
It's not like a statue.
right. You had plans,
Yes, had a plan.
and I either forgot about those plans
Or I forgot to mention them.
or a combination of both. So originally we were supposed to do Hunchback of Notre Dame 2 weeks ago, but it kind of works out considering some stuff that's going to show up in the news later. So
that is true.
interestingly enough, because this is like on the anniversary. This episode is on the
It's close.
the 24th anniversary because it came out this week
Yeah, exactly. It came out like 20
in
24
'96.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, like 24 years ago.
weird how that timed out because we did not
Exactly.
plan that.
No.
But yeah, it's been we were supposed to originally do this 2 weeks ago
Yeah.
because you had plans,
I had
and
plans.
then last Friday
I got a
you
headache.
had a headache.
Yes, I got a
So
headache.
we tried to record this Sunday.
Yes.
I had the settings wrong.
Audio issues.
So it's Monday.
So it's Monday.
It's been 2 weeks.
Yes. So
What have you watched?
what have I watched? So me and my wonderful girlfriend Ashley went to Houston.
Houston.
Did I say it right? Houston.
Houston. I don't know the rest of this song.
But we went to Houston, the museum district. Great time. Had a great time at a library with doing genealogy stuff. It was great. We went to a Holocaust museum. That's sobering and very humbling.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, yeah, you go in there with a smile, you're going to be kind of down because
Right.
it's terrible. It's terrible, and it shows exactly what prejudice and hatred towards others looks like. So we did that. We had dinner with two of her friends. One of them I had actually met before. Didn't realize I met her before, but that was fun. So then Friday we hung around. We did a few things, and then we went and saw the musical Wicked. Hence, the same guy who wrote the music for Hunchback of Notre Dame wrote Wicked a couple of years later in 2006. So we watched that. First time watching this play because me and her love the music of this. She does Peloton, she does Wicked rides, and we actually were just sitting around one day a couple of months ago, and it's like, because I was like, hey, do you like Wicked? It's like, yeah, I enjoyed the soundtrack, never seen it. It's like, well, I'm actually looking at tickets for Wicked. And it's like, oh, okay. So yeah, we had that planned, and we had a great time and drove back on Saturday. And
Gee, do you like Wicked? It's almost like she never listened to our very first episode.
yeah, exactly.
Where you kind of went goo goo gaga for Idina Menzel.
Yes. Well, it was me like Idina Menzel is an amazing powerhouse voice.
I didn't say she wasn't.
Exactly.
What I'm saying here, behind the scenes, folks, for something that happened 4 years ago.
Yeah, 4 years.
First episode we're ever recording.
Yes.
We are learning we should have done more research ahead of time.
Oh my god.
Especially since you didn't have internet and we couldn't get a good decent signal in your apartment to save our lives.
True.
And I
insisted in my apartment.
I insisted at the time your apartment.
That's true.
Because I thought I had a herd of buffalo living above me.
So continue.
But yeah, we're both on IMDb, and I go, oh yeah, Elsa was played by Idina Menzel, and she played, I don't know who I said.
Yeah.
And he goes, oh yeah, she was. And you said a name from this musical I had never heard before because I know nothing about Wicked.
Yes.
Other than it's the tale of what happened to the Wicked Witch of the. It's a prequel to Oz, basically.
Not kind of. It's
And it's a story about the witches and all that stuff. That's all I know about it. And you go, yeah, she played Ephaba. And I go, she did a what now?
That is true. That is true.
because I didn't know what an Effuba was, and I think I even said it wrong
you
at
said
the
it
time.
wrong.
I was like,
I corrected you. It's
Effuba?
Elphaba.
It's like I don't know what an Effuba is.
That is true. Anyways,
Isn't that the sponge that you wash yourself with?
Oh my gosh. So yeah.
Sorry.
So if you want to hear something really cringy, go back to
our very first episode.
Very first episode.
That's cringy no matter. That's cringy no matter how you look at it.
Yeah, very, very, very cringy. But so yeah, we watched Wicked, amazing musical. Go watch it. It's currently in Houston right now, and I believe I talked with another patron who's also watched, not patron, the part of our show, but someone who was watching the show along with us, said I think next year it's going to be in Austin, Texas. So if you're in the Texas area and you want to go see Wicked, it's going to be there next year, as far as I understand. But love that. And then, so what else have I been watching? So let me turn.
That's a good question.
Yeah, what else have I been watching? After that long explanation about Wicked, so I watched. So last week I was in for 3 days. I was in the gas station at where I work, and so you're allowed to watch whatever as long, appropriate stuff, obviously. So I watched on Disney Plus Stan Lee, which is a documentary over Stan Lee the man and his what
means Stan the Man Lee.
Stan the Man Lee. So that 2 documentaries over ancient sites they're rediscovering the whole bit, really, really good. And I'm just gonna say this because there again, we recorded yesterday and we're re-recording now. So when I got home yesterday, it started working on artwork for another project we're working on with Geek Devotions,
which will probably be out before this is.
Probably. So I started I picked up where I was. So I was watching Spider-Man the Animated Series on Disney Plus, and I think I was in season 3 into season 4. So yeah, that was interesting. That was fun. It was like, oh, I totally forgot they did that.
You trying to time it for a certain episode of our show?
Not really.
Oh, it'd be interesting if it did.
Oh, I agree. I was halfway expecting to be like, okay, when do the X-Men show up? But
season 2.
Season 2?
I think it was season 2.
Okay. But that is, as of right now, except for listening to a lot of podcasts, which I do, which are more like true crime or news or faith-based. So
yeah, it was season 2. I just looked it up.
Excellent. That explains where at one point I think Spider-Man's fighting a villain, and it's like, yeah, you need to meet my friend Wolverine. You guys will have a great time. And it's like, oh, okay, that makes sense. But anyway, so that's what I've been watching and listening to. What have you been watching, listening to, or playing in your case?
Yeah, so the last time we recorded this was Sesame Street, which was 2 weeks ago.
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
I had a brain fart in the middle of the show, and I forgot to mention what I had watched the weekend before.
Okay.
Because this month I have watched 3 theatrical films.
Yeah.
In theaters. One of them was Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse.
Yeah, which I keep hearing is
really good. It is real good. It is good enough it's already on our schedule.
I saw that.
Not till next year, but it's on our schedule already.
But it's there.
I had to give it enough time to show up on video.
I hope so.
The weekend after that, I saw Transformers Rise of the Beasts.
Yes.
Which I realized watching it, this is the first time live action Transformers films that actually hits my nostalgia gland.
Really?
Yeah, because I didn't watch the original Transformers growing up.
Yeah, okay.
My first Transformers show was Beast Wars.
Yes.
So Optimus Primal is my Optimus Prime.
Or in this case, yes.
Yes. yes.
Yeah. I own the entire series on DVD because I was like, I have to have this.
Unfortunately, my favorite fire ant did not show up.
Inferno.
Yes.
Yes, my queen.
And unfortunately, Megatron was not in this in any way, shape, or form, which was
kind of sad.
Disappointing. It's like, but I like my T-Rex Megatron. And that's a decent excuse for Frank Welker to come back.
Yes, or at least the original guy who did the voice.
I don't know who did it, but
so good.
but yeah, the movie was a popcorn muncher. It's not.
Yeah,
It's better than a lot of the other Bayformers.
yeah.
But I mean, it's like, oh, that's a thing.
That was fun.
Oh, and here's a fun fact. While Beast Wars was part of the inspiration for this, another movie that we have reviewed was also an inspiration for this film.
Really?
And that's all I'm gonna say.
Okay.
Just whoever that voice actor was, does not hold a candle to Orson Welles.
Oh
That's
my gosh.
all I'm saying.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Yes.
Anyway, third film,
Yes.
The Flash.
Was it any good?
It was a popcorn muncher. Of the two it was a multiverse film.
Yes.
And of the two multiverse films I've seen this month, Spider-Verse was better.
Yeah.
It's not that it was bad. It's just, it is a good example of what Warner Brothers did to what Zack Snyder was doing. That's the best way I know how to do that. Say that. Whatever Zack Snyder was attempting to go for, granted, I was not a fan as much of the Snyder films. I appreciate what they were doing, but they're just not my kind of films. But even what he was doing, which this Flash is based on that character from those movies,
Yes.
it's not even doing a good job with that. It is. It's okay.
Yeah.
It's not bad. It's not, but it's not one I want to own. It's not the best adaptation of Flashpoint.
Okay.
Sorry, Nicolas Cage playing Superman does not save it.
Or apparently another Batman shows up. Apparently.
I always thought Clooney was a better Bruce Wayne than he was a Batman.
Oh, agreed. Completely agreed.
And of course, Val Kilmer couldn't.
Yeah.
But Adam West showed up for a hot second. So did George Reeve and Christopher Reeve
Yeah.
and Eartha Kitt as Catwoman. Yes,
Yes.
the one that was also next called her Esmeralda. It's not that character's name.
No.
Esme? Yzma.
Wrong lever.
Yeah, that one.
Yeah. Yzma.
You can hear her voice for a hot second.
Hmm.
And I'm going, yeah, this is cool and all, but this is so much fluff. This is cotton candy. It tastes good for the second it's there, and then it's gone. It is nostalgia used incorrectly.
It's like a raccoon who gets a hold of some cotton candy and then puts it in water. Then he's sad. It was a video I saw once.
Okay, as I say, that's a reference to something I recognize, and I can't point at what it is.
Yeah, it's a video.
Anyway, moving on.
Yeah.
It wasn't bad. That's all I'm saying. It just wasn't great.
Yeah.
Also, I have been watching Star Trek: Strange New Worlds.
Okay.
First 2 episodes I've watched so far. Show is actually very good. I'm looking forward to seeing Thursday what we're doing. It's apparently going to involve James T. Kirk again. That will be interesting.
Yeah, because I remember what I've heard, they replaced the actor.
Well, they kind of had to. William Shatner's a bit old.
No. Like the guy who played
Okay.
Kirk.
Right now there's 3 Kirks. Shatner, Pine, and I can't think of the guy's name on Strange New Worlds. I apologize.
Well, never mind.
It's the same guy from the end of the last season,
Okay, well, never mind.
to my knowledge. But
Again, this is not a Star Trek podcast, so yeah.
not till we get around to reviewing Lower Decks season 5, 4 when that happens.
And this guy's gonna geek out like.
But speaking of Star Trek animated stuff, I've been watching another show.
Yes.
That I believe it or not, this is a Star Trek show I did not watch before. And it's from the 70s.
Oh.
Star Trek the animated series.
Right.
That is one goofy show.
It is the 70s in animation.
Here's the thing. It is 70s era filmation. Saturday morning cartoon to the teeth. Yet it's also Star Trek. It is still that high quality of writing.
Right.
And the acting is still kind of on the good, but you're still talking about giant pink tribbles.
Fair.
And a giant clone of Spock. It's goofy. It's weird. It's what you expect from a Saturday morning cartoon from the people who made He-Man if they were making a sci-fi show.
True.
And yet it's still well written and well acted, strangely enough. So at some point I may put that one on the TAS list because I don't think it'll take us that long to go through.
Okay. Makes sense.
When we need something short. Because it's only like 26 seasons, I think 26 episodes, I believe. I could be wrong on that count, but anyway. Other than that, the other thing I've been watching is Car Ranger for an upcoming project. So yeah, that's what I've been watching. So Jacob, what do we have in the news?
The Cellcast News with your host Jacob Heron.
Why thank you, Dealet, and getting into the news. So
I'm curious if you remember the one I brought up yesterday.
Yes, I do.
Just curious.
Yes, because I thought you were going to bring it up during what you watched.
I didn't watch any of that show this week.
That is true. So, anyways, so getting into the news, Crunchyroll is making the Summer of Dragon Ball fans a little more excited. The anime streaming service will be offering 15 beloved animes or animated films from the franchise, from the Dragon Ball franchise, in 3 bunches, beginning on June 22nd. Followed that by June 29th through July 9th. So if you're on Crunchyroll right now, you can probably catch some of these right now.
This is probably their excuse to actually finally put these movies on Crunchyroll.
That is true.
Because they're not there right now.
True.
They have OG Dragon Ball. They've got Z. They've got GT. And they got Super.
Yeah.
But they don't have any of their movies. Except for Battle of Gods and Resurrection. The new movies they have on there. Broly. It's Superhero. I don't know if it's there because I've been seeing it in other spots anyway. But anyway.
Okay. All right. So the first Dragon Ball movie they're going to be showing is Dragon Ball Z: The Dead Zone. We've already reviewed that film, so if you want to go listen to that, go listen to that on YouTube.
I hope you packed your bags, kid, because you're going on a trip.
Wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. And I think Dragon Ball Z: Dead Zone, I think of
Dragon Ball Z Abridged
version, which is funny, but it brings out a really good point at the very end. And it just makes our main character even dumber than he is already. I'm going to make that point because it's so good.
I think Piccolo is dead. I think that you know. Are you still there? Yes. Well, then he ain't dead, is he?
Oh, it's so good. That's so good. Team 4-star. Just amazing.
We may have to review that at some point, too.
Oh, my gosh. Just give Team 4-star some love. Because certainly Toei won't.
Oh, yeah. That's what I was going to show you. Remind me to show you that. Show you something.
Yes. Oh,
when
my
we get
gosh.
done. I was trying to think of it before you came over here, and it's just like, couldn't think of it.
Yeah, because Drew told me something, and it's like, oh my gosh, I want to see that.
I'll go ahead and say it here. Team 4-star, bless their hearts.
Mm-hmm. Bless their hearts.
They are in good with the good people at Funimation to the point where Krillin and 1 or 2 other people have actually shown up on the show on Team 4-star. And some of the voice actors have actually appeared in actual Dragon Ball media, playing different extra characters. But the coup de grace was going to be during Dragon Ball Z Kai, during the final chapters, when they do that scene where they're at the World Martial Arts Tournament, and they're showing the scenes from what happened at the Cell games to show how Hercule saved the world from the evil Cell after the Pretenders mucked it up.
Right. It's always about
Hercule. They were going to have Team 4-star playing the character, the actors.
That's hilarious.
Including, the guy who does Piccolo, playing Piccolo. or Piccolo with the quotation marks, and Vegeta, the Prince of all Scions. We'll get to that later. But anyway,
Yeah. So
it's really sad we didn't actually get that because Toei found out and said no.
Yeah.
Replace the audio.
Yes. So they're starting with Dragon Ball Z, Dead Zone. We've already done that. Plug here. And wraps up with the 2009 blockbuster Dragon Ball Super Broly from 2019.
I still think the best Dragon Ball film.
I agree because we were gonna review superhero.
I let you borrow Broly when we were getting ready to go see Superhero because for our reaction, and the reason I did was because I suspect it was we would need to at least know where the characters left off.
Exactly. And I would say Dragon Ball Super Broly was really good. And it does tell the story a lot better than the original. I still enjoy the original Dragon Ball,
yes, and
Broly.
I enjoy Batman and Robin. I'm not kidding, but I'm sure it's the same reasons here, not for the reason they intend.
Yeah, exactly. It's anyways. So yeah, they're doing that. Apparently, Disney's newest theatrical film coming out, Wish, is getting pushed. It's getting a longer theatrical release, according to Disney CEO Jennifer Lee from Frozen and Frozen 2.
You mean the film will make more money if we leave it in theaters longer?
Shocker!
Isn't that amazing news?
Yeah, because Disney just do better. Let's just say
yes.
Yeah, just do better. Definitely with Pixar. Come on. But apparently Wish will be having extended life in theaters. So I know we're probably gonna go watch this film because it's Disney. You can watch it. And
I don't know. We never got around to watching Elemental.
That's right, we did it. It's a Pixar film too.
And it's out. It's in theater. Neither one of us went and watched it.
Nope. Didn't even think about it. Even my brother mentioned that. It's like, yeah, you guys haven't watched that yet. It's like, no, we haven't. Didn't think about it.
Admittedly, it's not one I was looking forward to, but yeah.
That is true. But either or. So yeah, that'll be released, and Disney's Wish will be opening theaters on November 3rd. And news that I didn't know about, Drew told me yesterday, so I'm just going to reiterate what he said. So apparently, with the mass...
So there's...
Go ahead.
I'll do it, if you don't mind. There are actually 2 currently airing Star Trek animated programs on, I know they said Disney Plus, on Paramount Plus.
That'd be weird.
One is Lower Decks, which is exclusive to Paramount Plus, and the other is Star Trek Prodigy, which is a co-production with Nickelodeon.
Yes.
Paramount Plus has canceled the show. And so now Nickelodeon, while they are still going to let them finish season 2, at the very least, they're shopping around the show to take somewhere else, because not only are they going to show season 2 elsewhere, they're taking season 1 off Paramount Plus, which is stupid. Granted, it's not a blow your socks off kind of show.
Right.
It is similar to Star Wars: The Clone Wars in terms of writing style, but except a little brighter because it's a little bit more of a happy-go-lucky show in a way.
Right.
It still has its dark moments, but it's still more of an adventure story aimed at kids, basically, is what I'm getting at, with a Star Trek twist.
Yeah.
And there's even a great episode that brings back audio from actors who have already passed. It was a great send up to them. Anyway, it's a good. Paramount is stopping the show because I don't know why.
Yeah.
Other than I'm assuming it's like everybody else, they're just trying to knock off what they think is not making money.
Right.
Granted, I don't actually know what it costs to host a television show on a streaming service. It could be far more expensive than I think it is.
Right.
But I see no reason to remove it. to be honest, and just go ahead and let them put out their second season, and then you don't have to bring it up anymore. Because the thing is, Paramount Plus, it probably didn't do good because of you. Because here's what happened with that show. Last year, we had 6 months of constant Star Trek. Every week, we had a new episode of something Star Trek, be it Strange New Worlds, Picard Season 2, Lower Decks, and then Prodigy. Unlike the other shows that got, 10 weeks to do their thing, Prodigy was sprinkled throughout each season. So we would get 3 episodes or 3 or 4 episodes of Prodigy, then Picard, then 3 or 4 more episodes of Prodigy, then Lower Decks, and then 3 or 4 more Lower Deck, Prodigy, and then we end it with Strange New Worlds. And it's like, how can you keep up with characters when you put this much gap between their episodes? Nobody does that. Sorry, it's an annoyance.
Yes, I agree. But yeah, that's all I have for the news.
So why don't we talk about some X-Men?
Yeah, let's talk about some X-Men.
Previously on X-Men.
Meet the sulky, over-bulky, kinda hulky superhero. A two-fisted and electrically transistored superhero. An exotically erotic and aquatic superhero.
Kinky.
The Marvel superheroes have arrived. X-Men, X-Men, it's the day, X-Men, X-Men, coming your way.
Spider-Man and his amazing friends, Iceman and Firestar.
We are now entering the better adaptation of the Phoenix Saga than we've ever gotten before.
Yes.
Granted, I don't know if X-Men Evolution or if Wolverine and the X-Men ever did any of the Phoenix stuff. Those 2 shows.
Right.
So I could be wrong there. They may have done just as good. What I do know is the movies did the storylines dirty. But anyway, Dark Phoenix Saga Part 1, Dazzled, which came out originally on September 12th, 1994, and Dark Phoenix Saga Part 2, The Inner Circle, also came out September 12th, 1994. Both episodes directed by Larry Houston and written by Jan Strand and Stephen Levy, respectively. In these episodes, Jean is beginning to lose control, and the Phoenix begins to brazenly take over her will. Brazenly take over at will. I can't read. When Mastermind tries to force Phoenix to kill Cyclops, she finally breaks free of the psychic controls on her, leaving the X-Men to fight for themselves. Getting into the guest cast, we've got Nigel Bennett as Mastermind, Walker Boone as Donald Pierce, David Bryant as Sebastian Shaw, Jeff Knert as Harry Leland, Tracy Moore as Emma Frost, and Dazzler, who shows up in this. She is played by Catherine Disher.
Yeah.
Do you know who else Catherine Disher plays on the regular cast?
Who?
Jean Grey.
Oh, that's just rich.
That's rich.
That is really rich.
Trivia for this episode.
Extremely buttered over rich.
Yes. Trivia for these episodes. The 4 episodes, these first 2 and the ones 2 we're recording next week, are an adaptation of the story of the same name from Uncanny X-Men numbers 129 through 138, published in 1980. in the original comics, the Inner Circle Club was actually known as the Hellfire Club. This was changed in the series due to censorship because of the controversy of the word using Hellfire in a children's program.
Mm-hmm.
Not that Disney had trouble with that 2 years later.
Mm-hmm.
When Wolverine faces down one of the Inner Circle guards, he paraphrases Dirty Harry's Magnum speech from Dirty Harry.
Yes.
Well, and he says it right because everyone says it wrong. They say, "Do you feel lucky, punk?" That is not the line.
No.
And he starts from the whole thing. If I had it in front of me, I'd say the whole thing.
Yeah.
But it ends like, you got to ask yourself, did he fire 6 times or 7? To be honest, I lost count myself. So you got to ask yourself, do you feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
Uh-huh.
And I'm sitting there watching going, you're not quoting this, Wolverine, word for word. Oh, you are. And it's not ending anytime soon.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, Cal Dodd, you wonderful man, you.
That is probably one of my favorite scenes in the entire thing because Wolverine goes shop on everybody.
Also, some trivia for this. I brought up Dazzler.
Yes.
Dazzler is the most failed character in Marvel Comics. That's probably not exactly fair. She was created for a special comic book series that they were trying to pair up or collaborate with any record company they could find to essentially make a pop star that Marvel would own and make comics for. And it kept saying it was coming and it never came till they finally just started making comics about her. And of all her appearances, this is probably her most well-known.
Agreed.
Because she wasn't even her base power set wasn't even finalized at the time comics about her were coming out.
Yeah.
Dazzler, Proto Jubilee.
It's like, she was more prominent in the 80s because she was in X-Men, she
was in Pride of the X-Men. And she has actually already appeared in this show, and we missed it.
Yeah, we missed it.
She was in Mojo Vision, hanging out on Mojo World.
Yes.
Honestly, I know why we didn't see it. There was too much other nonsense going on screen in that episode.
That is true. Just also look this up. Dazzler. Her most recent appearance was in 2019 in the comics.
Oh, that makes sense. There's always reasons to bring new characters up. Howard the Duck keeps showing up, for crying out loud.
Yeah, that's true.
He's not been popular in years, except in MCU. But anyway,
that's true.
At least as far as I know. I could be wrong, folks. So yeah, what are your thoughts on this episode?
I enjoyed it. It'd be like, there again, like Drew said, be like the first round of X-Men movies tried to do the Phoenix Saga, or tried to do anything.
They tried to do Dark Phoenix Saga, except they also didn't do Dark Phoenix Saga. And then Dark Phoenix, which was the first Disney X-Men movie, technically.
That is true. And I really, really
it is very bad, and it kind of also is doing this story, but also
apparently
not. The Hellfire Club's not even in it.
Yeah.
Ironically, they were in first class.
They were in first class. This was a good movie.
It was a good movie, and they made no connections. Like, oh yeah, Emma Frost, and all these other people. Yeah, we're gonna turn Jean Grey evil. Okay.
It's like,
they never did that. It's like, come on, guys.
My thought, if they were gonna do something, just adapt what they did in the cartoon and just make that into a really good movie. Because then you get Hellfire Club, you get Sebastian Shaw, you get all these amazing, and plus you get Wolverine being he is.
Can you imagine Hugh Jackman quoting Dirty Harry?
Oh yeah, because it's Hugh Jackman. So
I mean, he's going to show up in the MCU at least once, we know. But
yeah, he is
next year.
Can't
believe that's next year.
Yeah, Sneak.
I really hope that Hugh Jackman in that film is not actually Wolverine, and it's Deadpool knowing Hugh Jackman played Wolverine in another universe, and is kind of convinced him to be Wolverine.
Oh no!
I really kind of want it to be something silly like that.
I agree, but at the same time,
because you can't because we already know Hugh Jackman does not want to return fully for Wolverine, so we're gonna need a MCU Wolverine at some point.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, that kind of makes sense that he's convinced himself that it's that, you know, Hugh Jackman is actually Wolverine.
Yeah.
And it gets him to tag along. It's like, okay.
I don't know. I'm guessing. I don't know what Deadpool 3 is going to be.
Yeah, same here. None of us do. But
other than that will probably be better fourth wall breaking than She-Hulk.
Right.
And I want him to talk about how horrible that fourth wall break was.
Oh, that would be hilarious. Just like say that.
Really? You're going to make Kevin Feige a robot?
But going back to our episode,
sorry, I got off the rails.
Review of going off tangents, like we never do tangents, do we?
Tangents? What's a tangent?
Yeah, exactly. Right. So the night is getting late. So.
What do you mean I don't know what a tangent is?
Say it's not.
Okay, sorry. We were chasing a rabbit. Are you happy? No, because the rabbit got away. Okay, moving on.
That is true. At least I didn't turn to a dog and had to chase the rabbit this time. Thankfully. Oh, no.
Don't give her any ideas.
Okay. Scratch that from the record. Anyways, going back to X-Men, the animated series, and the Dark Phoenix. I enjoyed this episode. You get the introduction, or the second edition, or the actual introduction of Dazzler as a character. Well, actually, we saw her in Mojo World, apparently. We didn't see her, so that's our fault.
It was a cameo.
Yeah, small cameo.
Just like Iron Patriot. Is that his? Oh, no, Rhodes. What's his Iron Man name? Iron Soldier, War Machine has shown up. Doctor Strange has shown up for 5 seconds. Daredevil in his oldest costume was on a poster.
Spider-Man, you see his hand for
and that's because the show was starting at that time.
Yeah,
so
exactly. So we get her introduction. We get Jean Grey is back, which we get apparently. You
have to remember, we are watching this in a slightly different order than it originally broadcasted in, because the way this actually broadcast, we had the Phoenix Saga. I think Obsession, I think, was in there, and then Strange Lands Wild Heart, or Wild Lions Strange Heart, whatever the name of the episode was, and then Dark Phoenix Saga. So the whole time when Cyclops was hanging out fighting the Purple Man, that was season 5. And that's the only time they say, oh, Jean Grey is hanging out on Moore Island because we found her, and we're going, and we didn't even see her. We just got one line to say she was there.
Well, I would say
we did see a picture of her on the hologram.
We did see a picture of her. Oh, she's alive. But
this was in season 5.
Yeah, season 5. What the heck?
We didn't get to see this and it originally aired. So this episode starts and, oh, look, Jean Grey's back. When did that happen?
Yeah, exactly.
And I think Strangelands did have a mention of her
a little bit, but that was the strange part. Because they go there and Wolverine says it's like yeah, we're over here and everybody else is on Mirror Island
taking care of Jean.
Take care of Jeannie. And it's like, what?
Okay. And then this episode starts off with, okay, in case y'all missed last time, here in the context of the story, we're going to tell exactly what happened to Jean Grey. She was turned into the Phoenix. She had to stop the Mkron crystal from going bonkers. They didn't bring in the Shi'ar Empire was there, but they didn't talk about them. And you didn't even see Jonathan Frakes.
No. Which should have been voiced by.
Should have been. Actually, that's not who it was, but that's who I say it should have been.
Yeah, it should have been.
Because that character looked like Jonathan Frakes.
And I can hear.
And that would have been the perfect voice for Cyclops' dad. Can you imagine you're Scott Summers and you realize, oh, the guy who can't even sit down in his chair straight is my father.
Oh my gosh, be like, so my dad is number number two, number one. That's right. But
he's the third number one. But anyway,
yeah, nuance. But I really enjoyed this episode because it does do a lot of good storytelling, definitely with the inner circle, the Hellfire Club, with Sebastian Shaw and his ability, Emma Frost, which I think this is her first appearance too. We get her introduction. And she does a lot more stuff in the comics than poor Dazzler does.
Emma Frost, I think, has also been announced for coming back in 97, which starts next year, I found out.
Oh, next
January 24 is when it's apparently supposed to start.
Okay. I read it the other day. I thought it was going to be coming this next month, but
it changes. It seems regularly.
I know this is.
But it and Spider-Man were supposed to come out this year, but I think it's looking more and more like it's been pushed back. We'll probably find out more next month.
Probably. But I enjoyed this episode. We get a lot more in introduction of why the Phoenix is still here, why she's doing this, why a lot of explanations going on. We get the X-Men get pulled into the inner circle, and
such a dumb name.
I agree. Just call it the Hellfire Club.
Disney won't have a problem with it 2 years from now. What do you care, Fox?
Right.
Or should I say Saban?
Right. But I enjoyed it. I thoroughly enjoyed the scene where Wolverine gets pile drived into the lower sections of the inner circles.
Yes.
And just be like, he goes wrecking shop at all these goons. And that great line he gives to where he kind of paraphrases Dirty Harry in a way, but it's just so well done. And I love that it's so well done. And be like, I want to find that clip and just put it on our social media sites because it's so good. Oh my god!
Yeah.
Or just go watch the show. Go watch the episodes. They're really good.
One of the things I like about this is they're trying to get Jean Grey back to normal.
Yeah.
And they do it not by Cyclops, because Cyclops is too ninny-headed in this episode to be of any good to what's going on, because he's so worried about Jean.
Yeah. He goes to a club
to go. Well, he was actually working.
Kind of. Yeah.
Technically.
Well, no, he actually wasn't.
Not at the beginning, but I mean, when it was obvious Dazzler was getting attacked, then he was working.
Yeah.
And that's why he went back the second night, was
which causes Jean to get jealous, or Phoenix
actually to get jealous. And it's Wolverine's memories that finally break her free of the inner circle's clutches.
Yeah.
Which, can I just say, I have to appreciate one thing that Saban and Fox did at this time, and that's have the guts to actually use the costumes from the comics for both Emma Frost and the Black Queen.
True.
Because Emma Frost is well known from this time to see how much can we take off and still have her be clothed.
Yes.
What scantily clad costume can we put her in this week?
Yeah.
She is the Ice Queen after all. Why would the cold bother her anyway?
Wonk, wonk, wonk.
That was a bad joke.
That
Moving
was a
on.
bad joke, but it was funny.
It's funny, yes. I mean, it's painfully obvious that this is how Fox knew they could get away with Divatox and Astronema and
oh my gosh,
every other half-dressed villainous in Power Rangers.
That is true.
Which is just a weird thing to think about at this time, because I don't know, it's just still the 90s. The censors were paying attention.
That is true.
How the censors never caught any of this, I'll never know.
True. But overall, Bill, I enjoyed this episode. I can't wait to get into parts 3 and 4 to wrap this story up, because I know it gets a little worse.
Things are going to go downhill.
Yeah.
I'm trying
in a ball of flame.
Right. And there's only one other story after Dark Phoenix Saga that I remember from this show. And that was the trial of Jean Grey with the Shi'ar Empire. I remember a scene or two from that.
Yeah.
And I don't know when that happens. I'm assuming at the end of season 3.
Yeah.
And from there, I'm going to be in the dark. And and the thing is, I know from the comics that she dies
Yeah.
at the end of the storyline
Right.
again. And then wakes up in a capsule under the water because that wasn't actually Jean.
Yeah.
Comics. So I don't know how they're going to work that here. So I'm interested in seeing that. Yeah, because so next week we are going to be watching parts 3 and 4 of the Dark Phoenix saga, along with Tangled. Boy, there's a combination.
Yeah.
So join us next week for that. In the meantime, this has been Drew.
This is Jacob.
And we'll catch you. Hang on. I forgot to mention somebody wasn't here.
I am Magneto, master of magnet.
And we'll catch you in the next frame.
You can follow Jacob on his Facebook at Jacob B. Heron. His Facebook page, Jacob's Daily Art Corner, where he tries to draw each and every day. His Instagram at Jacob B. Heron. His Twitter at Jacob Heron. And his Letterboxd at Jacob Heron. You can find Drew on Facebook at Drew Dodgen. His Facebook page, Drew's Photo Bin, to see his photography. His Letterboxd page at GGeorge759. His Twitter at GGeorge759. And Instagram at Drew Dodgen. You can like us on Facebook at the Cellcast Podcast, on Twitch at the Cellcast Gaming, on YouTube at Cellcast, on Twitter at cast_cell. The Cellcast can be found at Apple Podcasts, Google Play Podcasts, Stitcher, Spotify, or anywhere else fine podcasts are downloaded from. Please rate and review us where you found us, and also on Podchaser. Email us at thecellcastpodcast@gmail.com. The Cellcast is a proud member of both the Pop Americana and Culture Box media networks. For more information, please see the link in the description. Our theme song is Drop and Roll by Silent Partner. And remember, that's Cell with a single L.
Sanctuary! Sanctuary!
I don't think he knows what that means.
You keep using that word. I don't think it means what you think it means.
Yeah.